I used to see my neurologist twice a year, so it was it's no big different on this. What it was really a little bit more odds was to having a contact with your physician, with your family doctor, because all these services that were collapsed by COVID calls. So it was like almost impossible to get a date to have schedule a visit.
It's a bit different to my experience because my doctor and my neurologist at the clinic, they both started with telecommunication. So it was quite interesting. And it's a bit like we both are talking. It is a good way, but it is not the best way, I think, because I think I have to face my patients and I have to touch them for some investigations, and that won't be able over Skype or things like that.
Yeah, this is one of the few things that we could partially say from my daily routine was the physiotherapy is online. Of course, not not the massage, not the manipulation, because you don't have contact, but it was useful because it gave me a motivation to be online at that time, to follow the hint of the lead of the physiotherapist to do my exercises. I think it was this little spark that sometimes we need to start our engine. Also, the speech therapies, we could do something online as well. Because actually, I do it still do it once a week. Speech therapy with a small group of people, which it's something that we still save from the activities we used to do before pandemic.
Actually, I'm a patient who is quite independent. I'm doing a lot of the medication setting on my own. But at that time, I was running into a very difficult period. In the eighth year of the disease, I developed a kind of a sensitivity to levodopa that caused speech disfluencies. As a father of four and actively communicating and someone who always likes to talk and discuss things, this was the worst thing that could happen to me, that my language was dying. And I went into a hospital where they brought me completely down to zero. So I was withdrawn and for a week or so, I was completely down. And then they slowly built up a new medication regime. And at that time, we were still allowed to visit the hospital and to leave the hospital. That very day, the rules in Berlin changed to that you were not allowed to visit the hospital anymore, and you were not allowed to leave it. So if I would have been there 2 weeks later, it would have been quite a different experience.
So for me, my kind of connection with my or contact with my healthcare team has fortunately just needed to be its routine appointments. So those have become online or by telephone. And whilst there's always tremendous benefit in seeing somebody face to face, you can certainly cover some ground online or using the video conferencing or the telephone. But I've not found those appointments as rewarding, is probably the wrong word, as beneficial to me as possible. I've not felt that I've been able to always articulate exactly how I'm feeling in the way that I would have done if people were able to see me as well. But it doesn't completely replace and shouldn't completely replace the face-to-face contact. So I think there's a lesson there for healthcare professionals, really, that if we're going to use that mechanism of conducting appointments, because there are certain ways to conduct those appointments to get the best out of individuals, and we really need our healthcare professionals to understand how to conduct those interviews, the right way of asking questions in order to tease out that relevant information. And I think as healthcare professionals, we've got a lot more to do about getting better at that.